Computer hacking is a process of identifying and exploiting systems and network vulnerabilities to gain unauthorized access to those systems. Not all hacking is harmful. While some people known as white hat hackers can work in cybersecurity or as software engineers and testers looking for vulnerabilities to fix them, other people known as black hat hackers operate with malicious intent. That said, there is a large gray area populated by political activists and hackers who both wear hats. A hacker's attack doesn't happen overnight. It takes decades of work by the now known hackers to uncover critical vulnerabilities and reveal the strategies that underpin the internet and free libertarianism. Here's a look at the top 10 most dangerous hackers of all time. Jonathan James. With the alias Comrade, Jonathan James hacked several companies. According to the New York Times, James was really the attention he got because of his hack into the computers of the United States Department of Defense. Even more impressive was the fact that James was only 15 at the time. In an interview with PC Mag, James admitted that he was inspired in part by the book The Cuckoo's Egg, which describes the hunt for a computer hacker in the 1980s. His hacking allowed him to access more than 3,000 messages from government employees, usernames, passwords, and other sensitive data. James was arrested in 2000 and sentenced to 6 months house arrest and banned from recreational computer use. However, a probation violation caused him to serve 6 months in prison. Jonathan James became the youngest person to be convicted of violating cybercrime laws. In 2007, TJX, a department store, was hacked and many personal data of customers were compromised. Despite a lack of evidence, authorities suspect that James may have been involved. In 2008, James committed suicide from gunshot wounds. According to the Daily Mail, his suicide note said, "I don't trust the legal system. Perhaps my actions today in this letter will send a stronger message to the public. Anyway, I've lost control of this situation, and this is my only way to regain control." Astra. This hacker differs from the others on this list in that it has never been publicly identified. However, according to Greek authorities, some information has been released on Astra, namely that he was arrested by the authorities in 2008, and at that time he was identified as a 58-year-old Greek mathematician. The Greek authorities said he had hacked the systems of the airline company Dassault Group for about half a decade. At the time, he stole weapon technology information about the company's fighter jets and other military aircraft and sold them to several countries. He reportedly hacked the Dassault Group for nearly half a decade. During that time, he stole advanced weapon technology software and data, which he then sold to 250 individuals around the world. His hacking cost the Dassault Group $360 million in damages. No one knows why his full identity has never been revealed, but the word Astra is a Sanskrit word for weapon. Kevin Poulsen. Kevin Poulsen was the first American to be banned from the internet and computers after being released from prison. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Poulsen hacked telephone lines. In 1983, a 17-year-old Poulsen hacked with the alias Dark Dante ARPANET, the Pentagon's computer network. Although he was caught quickly, the Poulsen government, which was underage at the time, decided not to prosecute. Instead, he received a warning. Poulsen ignored this warning and continued hacking. In 1988, Poulsen hacked a federal computer and delved into files of deposed president of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos. When discovered by the authorities, Poulsen went underground. While on the run, Poulsen kept busy hacking government records and revealing secrets. According to his own website, he hacked a radio station game in 1990 and made sure he was the 102nd caller, a brand new Porsche, a vacation, and won $20,000. Poulsen was quickly arrested and banned from using a computer for 3 years. Since then, he has converted to white hat hacking and journalism, writing about cybersecurity and web-related socio-political causes for Wired, The Daily Beast, and his own blog, Threat Level. Poulsen also worked with other leading hackers to work on various projects that focused on social justice and freedom of information, perhaps most notably by partnering with Adam Swartz and Jim Dolan to develop the open-source software Secure Drop, initially known as Dead Drop. Ultimately, Poulsen transferred the platform, which enabled secure communication between journalists and sources, to the Freedom of Press Foundation. He is now a writer for Wired and wrote an article about sex offenders on MySpace arresting a person. Michael Keesey. In February 2000, 15-year-old Michael Keesey, also known as Mafia Boy, discovered how to take over networks of university computers. He used their combined resources to disrupt the #1 search engine at the time, Yahoo. Within a week, he had also brought down Dell, eBay, CNN, and Amazon using a distributed denial of service attack that overwhelmed corporate servers and crashed their websites. Kaus's wake-up call was arguably the most shocking to cybercrime investors and advocates of the internet. If the world's largest websites, valued at more than $1 billion, could be so easily discarded, was online data really safe? It is no exaggeration to say that the development of cybercrime legislation suddenly became a top government priority thanks to Kaus's hack. Kevin Mitnick. A pioneering figure in American hacking, Kevin Mitnick got his start as a teenager. In 1981, he was charged with stealing Pacific Bell computer manuals. In 1982, he hacked the North American Defense Command, NORAD, a feat that inspired the 1983 film War Games. In 1989, he hacked the Digital Equipment Corporation, DEC, network and made copies of their software. Since DEC was a leading computer manufacturer at the time, this act put Mitnick on the map. He was later arrested, convicted, and sent to prison. During his parole, he hacked Pacific Bell's voicemail systems. During his hacking career, Mitnick never used the access and data he obtained. It is widely believed that he once took complete control of the Pacific Bell network. To prove it was possible, an arrest warrant was issued for his arrest for the Pacific Bell incident, but Mitnick fled and lived in hiding for more than 2 years. When he was caught, he was in prison for multiple counts of wire fraud and computer fraud. Although Mitnick eventually became a white hat, he can be part of the gray area with both hats. According to Wired, he launched Mitnick's Absolute Zero-Day Exploit Exchange in 2014, which sells unpatched critical software exploits to the highest bidder. Matthew Bevan and Richard Price. Matthew Bevan and Richard Price are a team of British hackers who hacked multiple military networks in 1996, including Griffiths Air Force Base, the Defense Information System Agency, and the Korean Atomic Research Institute, KARI. Bevan, Kuji, and Price, Datastream Cowboy, have been accused of having started almost a third world war after dumping KARI research on U.S. military systems. Bevan claims he wanted to prove a UFO conspiracy theory, and according to the BBC, his case is similar to Gary McKinnon's. Malicious intent or not, Bevan and Price showed that even military networks are vulnerable. Albert Gonzalez. According to the New York Daily News, Gonzalez, also known as Soup Nazi, got his start as the troubled pack nerd pack leader in his Miami high school. He eventually became active on shadowcrew.com and was considered one of the best hackers and moderators. At the age of 22, Gonzalez was arrested in New York City for debit card fraud related to stealing data from millions of card accounts. To avoid jail time, he became a Secret Service informant and eventually helped sue dozens of Shadow Crew members. During his time as a paid informant, Gonzalez continued his criminal activities. Together with a group of accomplices, Gonzalez stole over 180 million payment card accounts from companies such as OfficeMax, Dave & Buster's, and Boston Market. The New York Times Magazine notes that Gonzalez's attack on U.S. retailer TJX in 2005 was the first serial data breach of credit information. Using a simple SQL injection, this famous hacker and his team created backdoors in several corporate networks, stealing an estimated $256 million from TJX alone. During his sentencing in 2015, the federal prosecutor called Gonzalez's human victimization unparalleled. Adrian Lam. In 2001, 20-year-old Adrian Lam used an unprotected content management tool at Yahoo to change a Reuters article and add a fake quote attributed to former Attorney General John Ashcroft. Lam often hacked systems and then informed the press and his victims. In some cases, he helped clean up the mess to improve their safety. However, as Wired notes, Lam went too far in 2002 when he hacked the New York Times intranet, added himself to the list of expert sources, and researched high-profile public figures. Lam was nicknamed the homeless hacker because he preferred to wander the streets with little more than a backpack and often had no permanent address. Anonymous. Anonymous started posting 4chan message boards in an unnamed forum in 2003. The group shows little organization and is loosely focused on the concept of social justice. For example, in 2008, the group objected to the Church of Scientology and began disabling their websites, which negatively impacted their search rankings in Google and overwhelmed its fax machines with completely black images. In March 2008, a group of Anons marched past Scientology centers around the world wearing the now famous Guy Fawkes mask. As noted by The New Yorker, while the FBI and other law enforcement agencies tracked down some of the more prolific members of the group, the lack of a true hierarchy makes it nearly impossible to identify or eliminate Anonymous as a whole. James Ancheta. Johnson James Ancheta had no interest in credit card data hacking systems or crashing networks to provide social justice. Instead, Ancheta was curious about the use of bots, software-based robots that can infect and ultimately control computer systems. Using a series of large-scale botnets, he was able to compromise over 400,000 computers in 2005, according to Ars Technica. He then rented these machines to advertising companies and was paid to install bots or adware directly on specific systems. Ancheta was caught when one of his clients turned out to be an undercover FBI agent. He had to give up the $58,000 he earned in hacking, pay back $16,000, and give up his BMW. Ancheta was sentenced to 57 months in prison. It was the first time that a hacker had been sent to prison for the use of botnet technology. Thanks for watching. While some of these top hackers wanted to make the world a better place, others to prove UFO theories, some wanted money, and others hoped for fame. All these people played a crucial role in the evolution of the internet and cybersecurity. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel and leave a like on this video, and we will see you in the next video.